What is up, NBA fans? Welcome to another special edition of the NBA Outlet presented by OTGBasketball.com. I'm your host, Nick Fay. With me, as always, Kory Waldron. And I don't even want to call him a guest anymore because he's on so much. Jac Manuell, what's up, guys?
Special edition, Jaren Jackson edition, ladies and gentlemen. 29 points in his first Summer League game. Let's get around it.
I'm going to quote the late, great LeBron James. What the fuck?
But really, what we are talking about, Jaren Jackson is playing great, and I would love to watch Summer League, but every time we release a pod, we got another pod to do, and DeMarcus Cousins has just signed with the Golden State Warriors. This is crazy. He signed for around $5 million. The details aren't out specifically. It's a one-year deal. What was your reaction when you saw this?
Utter shock. Like, I think Kory mentioned yesterday, like, his jaw was on the floor from one of the moves. Like, I don't think my jaw has, like, left an imprint on my floorboards. Like, it's ridiculous, like, what keeps happening in this league. Like, we were so shocked and, like, aghast about what happened yesterday with LeBron and James, and then this just takes it to a next level. Steph Curry's trolling us on Twitter. What's going on, man?
I am so angry and just so baffled that, like, 2K rosters exist in real life now. I mean, this move to me felt like it was like, all right, LeBron's going west. So then the Warriors were like, no. We have to let you know that you're not coming over to our conference and thinking you're making any sort of noise. So let us go out and get another superstar so you realize what kind of mess you're in now being in LA. I mean, that starting five, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, DeMarcus Cousins, every single person can shoot. And I know people are tweeting, well, we don't even know if DeMarcus Cousins is going to be at 80%. He don't even need to be. It doesn't matter. Just the threat of having DeMarcus Cousins out there with 2 MVPs, one of the best shooters of all time, a defensive player of the year. I mean, this team, obviously it's a one-year deal, so who knows what happens going forward, but this team is in position to win another 3, 4, 5 rings at this point in time.
It's crazy.
It's unfathomable.
It's like, cancel the league. What are we doing now? Like, I just think of that Kevin Durant tweet from a couple years ago. You're like, why are we joining together? Let's come at these dudes. Like, what the hell? Like, Jay Christensen just tweeted, get rid of the salary cap. At this point, you basically have to. I mean, this is like, there is almost no point in watching the regular season next year because at this point in time, you might as well just give the Warriors a title. I can't wait to see those Vegas odds that you read earlier about the Lakers being favorites. Once they saw that, they said, no, not today.
I told you to bet that money, Jack.
That's right. Man, I should have done it at the time. I don't know. I need to get paid still.
But really, though, this is just this doesn't even seem like a DeMarcus Cousins type of character move. We've seen him. He complained about Draymond Green during the postseason from home on Twitter.
There's a video making the rounds right now. He said F the Warriors when he was on the Kings once. Back when their dynasty was starting. So, like, it's just like a shock. And I think his agent was the first person to sort of tweet it out, similar to like the barber with Paul George. Like, something's going to happen. And, like, for the taxpayers, mid-level exception, like $5.3 million or around that range, it's just like, I mean, if you want to go into and, like, analyze the decision, there's certainly reasons behind it for DeMarcus Cousins. But, like, man, Bob Myers and Joe Lacob, it's just like the rich get richer. It's just like, it's emblematic of, like, why we hate super teams and stuff. But, man, oh, God, I'm out of breath.
This is an elite super team. This is like the best of all super teams. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins, like Kory said, comes back 80%. This is the most talented team to ever be on a basketball court. And I don't think there's much question about it. Like, you could argue they're top 5 at every position. Steph's definitely top 5. Clay's definitely top 5. Yeah, you're right. Top 3. If DeMarcus Cousins is healthy, Draymond's one of the best power forwards in the league. Like, it really doesn't get much better than this. Their bench isn't bad. Like, they still have Andre Iguodala coming off the bench. Like, they still have plenty. Sean Livingston still coming off the bench. Like, they have plenty of – Jordan Bell's going to be even better this season. I mean, could the Warriors break their own record of most wins in a season?
Look, I don't think that's their goal, but I think that they could certainly, like they did a couple of years ago, almost sweep their way through the playoffs. I think the interesting tidbit as well is the fact that, DeMarcus Cousins took the mid-level exception. It's sort of an indicator. It sort of covers the Warriors in a sense as well because KD signed for that 1+1. and obviously sort of allowed them to sort of, have that little bit of extra money for a guy like DeMarcus. But also if KD were to leave, like I've mentioned on JBT and probably the outlet as well, that if DeMarcus is healthy, they've got another superstar right there and waiting. Like we were talking about, if Steph gets injured, don't worry, they've got KD. And now, if KD gets injured, if Steph gets injured, if Clay gets injured, it's like, I just got DeMarcus Cousins still.
Exactly. It covers them for injury and it covers them free agency-wise. Like you said, if KD were to leave, if Clay were to leave, if Draymond ends up leaving or something, now they have another player that's arguably the best center in the league when healthy. I mean, and I think what else it says about the free agent market right now. If DeMarcus Cousins was willing to take a 1-year, $5 million deal, with change to the Warriors, that means there's no money out there for other free agents. And I would not be surprised to see more super teams where some of these big name players are signing with other great teams and trying to, the Rockets right now have to be thinking something up. They have to do something big to even compete because right now they're the only team. I mean, the Lakers could add Kawhi, but we've already questioned some of the roster decisions. I don't know if there's a team that can even come close to pushing the Warriors to 5 games right now.
Yeah, it's hard to think. Boston.
Boston comes to mind. Like if they wanted to make a really big splash, like if they wanted to make that move for Kawhi, now it would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, Philly if they somehow get Kawhi as well, but even then it's still 3, all NBA level players compared to freaking 5.
It's crazy.
It's definitely ridiculous. You mentioned are they going to go for a record? Can they beat their past record? I mean, you guys made a great point. I mean, this team can go in with 2 guys resting and play 3 of their all-stars, and they're still
better than
probably
teams in the league.
Better team than 90% of the league. I mean, I got to think that for LeBron and Chris Paul and James, every other team that's out there, I thought they were a couple pieces away from at least competing with the Warriors after they looked somewhat lackadaisical at times in this postseason. And I mean, oh my Lord, I just think this is, to me, I mean, obviously for Cousins, you're probably going to get a chip, and for the Warriors, it's great. But for the league, man, this is just not a good look at all.
All right, let's take it from the other perspective now. If we're looking at it from a negative perspective, why this won't work for the Warriors. Cousins won't come back from the Achilles. Give me your best case for this to not work out for Golden State and it actually could benefit the league and be some type of positive. Just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, well, look, DeMarcus Cousins has had his issues in the locker room and such. When he's at his best, he's all NBA level. But when he's at his worst, he's a locker room cancer. Dwight Howard type. If him and Draymond Green and KD could have some infighting to say the least. Draymond. I wonder if he was consulted about this because I'm sure Draymond and DeMarcus have some beef over the years. Who doesn't with Draymond Green? So there could be infighting in that sense. But then, there could be, that's probably the best case scenario we have. Maybe DeMarcus doesn't come back at all. And there's other injuries to the Golden State Warriors that sort of leave them depleted and a lack of depth and that sort of mid-level exception that could have gone to a guy like Jamal Crawford, who I think Tom mentioned in our last pod. That just makes it even worse for them. They're just left with one less roster spot. But, we're certainly grasping at straws to try to think of something here.
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I mean,
what about
I guess the worst
style of play. Do you think it could impact that? Cousins being a post player, not necessarily, I don't want to throw shade and say he's not a team player, but he hasn't been known for setting a lot of screens and doing all the dirty work, which is what Golden State usually looks for in their centers.
I just think with him, you have such a good in and out game now. I mean, you just put Cousins down low, you let him beat you down low for a couple of possessions, and you kick out to one of your 3 amazing shooters. And then if you're in the fast break or something happens and Cousins, gets a screen set from by Draymond and flares out to the 3-point line, and then Cousins can shoot a 3. I mean, it's just ridiculous, the versatility this team is going to have on offense. It's hard for me to say, besides if some kind of injuries happen, if Cousins comes back maybe at 10% and somebody else gets hurt. Otherwise, I just don't see negatives to this. I don't think they sign Cousins if they don't think it can work.
Yeah, and offensively, like you said, Kory, their versatility would be quite amazing. They can play any style of basketball. They can space the floor, shoot, get shooters opens with screens, run post-ups, run pick and rolls. Like, how are you going to defend a Steph and DeMarcus Cousins pick and roll? Like, there's not really many options. And then you got shooters on every other position. If hypothetically you put Draymond on the bench for, a couple minutes of the game too and put a shooter in a spot, I don't really know how you can defend them.
Yeah, it's pretty and from a Lakers perspective, let's look at it from there. They signed Lance Stevenson for $4.6 million, Rajon Rondo for $9 million. Were they was Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka not just going, dude, come on, we'll give you a little bit more than what these guys are giving you? And it just, I just don't understand why and how it happens. But at the end of the day, it's the prerogative of the player and his agent. So I guess they got what they wanted.
Does LeBron regret going to the West a little bit more now, or it doesn't matter?
No, not really. I think LeBron, already probably made that decision. I don't think he's making that decision about I don't think he's ring chasing, so to speak, anymore, as he was probably even last year and a couple of years ago. I think he's more content with where he is now, and he's sort of looking to build a legacy, as a sort of teammate and as a mentor and as a leader, as much as he's trying to win a ring. Getting in DeMarcus Cousins and Kawhi Leonard certainly would have helped. Kawhi's obviously still in play, but yeah, I don't think he would regret it because, if he was kicking around in Cleveland still, he'd be pulling what little hair he had out of his head.
Little hair.
Yeah, I don't think he regrets. I think he would still want to go there because of the fact that the only team probably, could keep them. And the only team that can compete with them is a team that has a huge market, and that's the Lakers. So, at the end of the day, the Lakers still have a good chance of being able to add as many assets as possible to possibly confront this now mammoth or Goliath or Godzilla. I don't even know what you want to call this. But I don't think he regrets it. I think he understood the chance of winning a title was going to get harder and harder. I'm sure he's just annoyed as hell that this is where the league is at this point of his career.
Who do you think has the best chance of beating Golden State?
Bro,
I'd say Boston. I believe in what Boston have and in what they, at their 75% best last year without their two best players. You can credit Al Horford all you want, but Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward are all-stars, and in top 20, you could argue Kyrie's a top 10 player, Gordon Hayward's a top 20 player, and probably one of the most underrated all-star superstars going around. If they're 100% healthy, which they need to be, and obviously Gordon Hayward's already had some complications with his leg and now his ankle. Kyrie obviously is on the road back as well from injury, but then again, so is DeMarcus Cousins. I never thought I would root for the Boston Celtics ever in my life, but I see it sort of happening to myself right now.
Yeah.
Anybody for you, Kory, or not?
I think the Celtics probably have the best chance too, but now the greatest issue with the Celtics is the fact they have no one to guard Cousins.
They have Aaron Baines. Not saying he's going to lock him down, but he's a pretty solid post defender.
Right. I don't know. I think that now if the Celtics get Kawhi, then I think I may change my mind slightly. But they have a lot of young pieces. They probably do have the best chance because they're such a scrappy defensive team. But then I think about them not having Marcus Smart possibly in that series, and then that to me hurts their chances a lot. I feel like his defensive ability would be so much, would be so needed against guys like Curry and Clay. It's just outstanding that the Warriors were able to somehow get better. It's funny, they won a title and they added Kevin Durant, and they won another title, and they were like, yeah, screw it, we'll just get another superstar. It's just ridiculous. This is where we're at now.
Yeah, I think Boston too. I think Marcus Smart will actually resign. Like we were mentioning a little bit on the previous show, the qualifying offer seems likely to sign with no money out there. It's good if Cousins is going to sign for 1 year, $5 million and change. Like I said, I don't know how much money's out there. I think Boston, what makes them more enticing is they can maybe make a trade. They still have some assets where they can make one more move, make one more splash, add that next piece, and really take it to a next level. If that's Kawhi or if that's somebody else that pops up during the regular season. But Houston's got to be pretty pissed off. Imagine feeling how bad, you already felt bad about Chris Paul being injured in Game 6 and Game 7 and losing the series when you were up 3-2. And now having to go against Golden State this year just seems 100 times worse.
Yeah, it's literally like the mountain just got it somehow grew unfathomably, the tree grew 100 times higher in the space of a day. Chris Paul at healthy, probably they could win the champion. They would have, I'd probably give them a greater chance than the Cavs last year. They could have won the championship last year with the help of Chris Paul. The NBA is the league of what ifs in so many scenarios. And you add DeMarcus Cousins, and it's just like, what if he had gone to the Lakers? It's just a league of what ifs, and it's part of the reason what it creates this debate and such. But yeah, losing Trevor Ariza at the same time for me, which we talked about on the previous outlets, it's like they lost that one, probably their best glue guy as well. Houston, maybe if Houston got LeBron James this offseason, then they could have been half a chance, and then they probably were the favorites. And then, the Golden State Warriors go out and get Boogie. That makes things interesting. But for me right now, other than Boston, like we've talked about, it seems like I've mentioned on like off-season pods about the Warriors and such, how it takes away the fun of the chase. The Golden State Warriors just getting richer and better and better. Hopefully there's some little scenarios that happen along the way that sort of create some drama. I mean, the regular season's always fun, but it almost seems like, we know the ending to this book already.
It's Joel Embiid just tweeted, "There's still time to change your mind."
So LeBron. Oh, that is funny. I mean, it's true in a way. It's almost like you want LeBron to leave the Lakers and decide, all right, I want to go to the Rockets or I want to go to the Sixers so they can make some type of super team that could compete. Because right now, like you guys mentioned, there's just not really many options out there. Talking about, I guess, something that has some relevance too, even though this has got us, head over heels right now. Julius Randle signed with the New Orleans Pelicans, 2 years, $18 million. What are your thoughts on this one? I believe player option for the second year too.
Yeah, solid enough move. I like it for the Pelicans. Obviously,
it was a hint.
It was literally a hint. I think everyone from Dom to me and everyone that we were talking like in the group chat and stuff, it was almost inevitable. Like the same thing when DeAndre opted out and then the Clippers got Marcin Gortat. It's just like something's going to happen here. But yeah, Julius Randle's a serviceable fit, not an upgrade in any stretch of the word, because at their best, they're the two best big men in the league in Boogie and Davis. But, a guy, it's going to be interesting, the spacing, though. Julius Randle, if he maybe works on that three-point shot, I'm sure if I'm Alvin Gentry, I'm going like, dude, get in the gym, just shoot 100 three-pointers for the next, as long as possible. Because that's probably going to create the best amount of chance. But also, they were one of the fastest team in the NBA, if not the fastest. And Julius Randle does help that. And, a guy who's very versatile in his game. It's just, he's just missing that one thing. And also defensively as well to an extent. But, yeah, decent enough signing by the Pelicans. And apparently Anthony Davis was a big partner too.
Yeah, I mean, I know Preston and those guys just got done recording a podcast as Julius Randle was signed, and then
I feel like they recorded 3 pods today, to be honest.
Yeah, and then they were wondering. I also were wondering if Boogie was going to come back on a smaller deal because they got Randle. Well, you can count that obviously out. The Randle deal was good. I mean, 2 years, $18 million, $9 million, a year each for a guy who potentially can become a really nice either power forward or small ball 5 next to Anthony Davis. Depends on where you want to play Davis. I think Davis probably will play the 5 more just because of the height difference, but I think Randle's going to look really good next to Davis. If he, like we mentioned before on this podcast, if we get a Julius Randle who can shoot, like 35 or 36% from 3, he could be really lethal because he already has the ability to play make. He can really push the ball up floor himself. He can handle the ball quite well. He's had a couple triple doubles already in his career. So I mean, I really like this signing for the Pelicans. And, at least it's another young guy too. The Pelicans still remain relatively young.
Yeah, no, agreed. And it's a good deal in terms of price-wise, and it's not even like a huge risk. You're not putting out a ton of money. Anthony Davis, though, has to feel some type of way about his guy, DeMarcus Cousins, who came to New Orleans with him, and they had such a great relationship, and now he's in Golden State. And, he loses him, and he also loses Rajon Rondo, who was a big part of the team for New Orleans.
We'll always have that Slam magazine cover.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's just a crazy day. I mean, what were you more surprised about, though, getting back to Cousins? The DeMarcus Cousins signing with the Warriors or LeBron signing the 4-year deal with the Lakers?
DeMarcus, by far. The shock levels were next level when this was announced. I just didn't see this happening, like, at all. It was insane to see this happen in any stretch of the word. We sort of expected LeBron, it was Lakers or Cavs. That was being reported for the past couple of days. But also, I mean, the rumors going around or the word going around is that, Boogie could be back as early as December or January. That gives him a full, almost like 3/4 of a season to sort of, get himself ready for the playoffs and such. But it's just like, Yeah, I'm still shocked, and I'm still going to be reeling even after we finish this pod. I'm going to be on Twitter for the next few hours, reading all the takes, reading all Joel Embiid's tweets and such. Apparently, KD put out an Instagram story that was just posted by Bleacher Report, where it's DeMarcus Cousins getting very angry at the Warriors, and it's an eyes emoji. So it's just everything's happening, guys.
Yeah, I feel like I can't even fully digest this right now because, like you said, Jack, it's just like a shock. Like you just did not expect this coming. You did not see DeMarcus Cousins signing the Warriors. Like it just didn't seem like a possibility at all. You heard of other names like Trevor Ariza, DeAndre Jordan, and those two players are a lot less, no offense to them, a lot less talented than DeMarcus. And we thought that was a pipe dream. And now DeMarcus Cousins signs there. Well, what is this?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's a soft move. That's all I gotta say. I mean, for him personally, it's smart. He's gonna look really good next to that team and probably end up getting a big payday next offseason and probably get a ring out of it. But I just can't believe this. We can say LeBron started. Super teams have always been a thing, but this is not I can't even call this. This is all right. Each one of these players is an Infinity Stone. They are, as a team, they are officially Thanos. I mean, I like you said, Nick, I think the inability to put this into words is pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's so many different dynamics, and like we kind of touched on a lot of things, but just the fact that they're able to be so versatile, have so many different options.
They can rest 3 guys at a time and keep 2 guys out. I mean, yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Honestly, they don't even need to play defense almost either. Like for most of the regular season, they have so much offensive talent that on any given night, I mean, there's almost guaranteed to have 2 or 3 mismatches on any given night. Some nights it'll be 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, it already is probably 4 or 5. We talked about them being like top 3 players in their position. You could argue that they might be the best player. All of them are the best players at their positions. Top 2 even. My brother just like he's losing his shit. He's messaging me all over Facebook, and I'm trying to multitask and responding to him. He's just saying like it's completely unfair. They need to veto this. Obviously, it can't be vetoed. The Chris Paul thing was vetoed because at the time the NBA had the rights to the organization, so they were able to sort of veto in that sense. It's not getting vetoed, guys. It's not going to happen. One, it's not a trade; it's a free agency signing, so it's completely legal. But yeah, I think also to play devil's advocate, like sort of Nick was saying earlier, the fact that everyone's like screaming about parity within the NBA and sort of the fairness element, that's never been the case. Like there's always been the best teams, and there's always been the lowly teams, and the Portland Trailblazers, the Brooklyn Nets, the Detroit Pistons. It's somewhat on them to sort of try and get better within the framework of what you have, within the framework of the draft system, within the framework of the free agency and the salary cap. You've sort of got to put it on the other teams to get better. And that's what the Houston Rockets did last year with Daryl Morey, and that's what was so admirable for me, and why so many people were on their bandwagon, and with good intentions, obviously. So for me, it's partly I'm like, look, we're still going to be watching this. We're still going to absolutely be following this. People are saying like, nah, I'm not going to be watching or whatever. Yes, I say that it's less enjoyable, but also we've got a villain to root for, and like Thanos, as Kory said, we want to see Thanos get destroyed. Well, I'm sure we're going to want to see these Golden State Warriors get vanquished as well.
Yeah, it creates a different type of hype. It creates a villain type of hype, which isn't necessarily bad. Like, I mean, if you're really thinking about it in terms of the NFL, the Patriots have been arguably a super team. They're constantly in the playoffs. They're constantly in the Super Bowl. They're constantly winning championships. It's really annoying. The Warriors are kind of that for the NBA to a different degree. And at some point, it's just the players are going to decide. There's nothing you could do. Like, hypothetically, if 6 All-Stars want to join one team, they wanted to all take cheap contracts, they could. There's nothing saying they can't. So, DeMarcus Cousins is the one who created this, and Kevin Durant created this. The Warriors are obviously never going to say no. You can be mad at the Warriors all you want, but if a great player is going to come and say, all right, I want to sign with your team, add to your talent, I like what you're doing, what are you going to say? No? Like, there's nothing to really complain about. You just got to enjoy it. I mean, you could be mad at the players, but at the end of the day, they want to win championships. And like people always bring up on Twitter, the reason they form super teams so much is because everybody is complaining about rings. So if you don't have a ring, you're not a great player. Now DeMarcus Cousins has probably a 95% chance of getting a ring. Probably 90. I want to go 98%. 2% chance something gets injured or something crazy happens.
Yeah.
This is yeah. I mean, it's people will still watch. I mean, for example, like my
watch.
Pacers. I mean, I'm still gonna watch my team every night to watch how these guys develop and go further. But just to keep in mind, guys, April is the finale of Game of Thrones, so we will have something more interesting on in case this gets really out of hand near the end of the season.
That is a great point. I mean, I think there's still a lot of storylines in terms of how's Cousins going to fit. Are they going to have injuries? Steph, KD, Clay, Green were all banged up last year. Now add another year of going to the finals, more wear and tear on your body. I think it does have an impact. So, there's still no guarantee. And like you mentioned, Kory, that Cousins could not be back for a long time. He could come back in January and knock on wood. He could have a setback or something, and he maybe could miss the regular season and then only come back in the playoffs, or, it could end up not being a crazy impact because of the injury and knowing how bad Achilles injuries are.
Yusuf Nurkic just tweeted out, Game of Zones will be dope. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to those episodes. I mean, we could probably reference Game of Zones, like the episode where Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr's like, come on, guys, we don't really care if we only give us the news if it relates to us and it's going to affect us. And obviously with the Lakers and getting JaVale McGee, Len Stevenson, and Rajon Rondo doesn't make any sense whatsoever, So I don't think that they're going to be worried, especially after getting DeMarcus Cousins. It's just, I think people are going to have high levels of salt. There are going to be plenty of salt bays out there. And I'm more of like, maybe a pepper bay. I'm not as salty. I just really like having a villain. I really like having someone to hate in sport. It adds to the narrative somewhat. The part of the chase, like I mentioned, is, it might be lost along the way, but it's going to make it all the more sweeter when they are maybe like 2%, like you said, Nick, like actually taken down. That 2016-17 championship by the Cleveland Cavaliers was one of the greatest sporting feats in history, if not the greatest. For me, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen in sports, and that's across a variety of sports that I follow. And if that could happen again, if this team is beaten in the finals, that would make for one of the greatest stories in the history of sports.
It definitely would. And I think another thing that kind of happens with this is, we mentioned this a little bit on the Nets pod, Jack, Brooklyn Buzz, that the East looks a lot better now because LeBron left. Well, now the East even looks crazier because you're definitely not trying to face Golden State in the first round, the second round, the Western Conference Finals. If hypothetically you could face them in the finals and maybe they're a little banged up from having to battle Houston or the Lakers if LeBron gets some more help, you're liking the East a lot more. I think the East has become a destination now after this because you do not want to face Golden State unless it's in the championship.
Us as well. Like, let's not nail it in the fact that DeMarcus Cousins is going to be 100% healthy. He is coming back from a very serious Achilles injury. Yes, a very serious Achilles injury. And in that sense, not many players come back from that 100% healthy. Rudy Gay's come back from it and he's looked pretty good. DeMarcus has referenced on his Instagram before that he wants to come back like Dominic Wilkins, who came back at an all-star level. I wouldn't put it past a guy like DeMarcus Cousins, who's very strong-willed in that sense, to come back at a situation level. And yeah, he's in the perfect situation to do so. And he also has to do well. It's on him if he wants to get paid the following summer. So it's all going the way of DeMarcus Cousins in that sense as well. But let's not underestimate the fact that this is an Achilles injury, and who knows if we even see DeMarcus Cousins at 100% fitness. There's another devil's advocate. So for all the people listening right now, there are ways that this might not work out, but I don't know.
He's trying. He's trying to help us out here. He's putting some light at the end of the tunnel. He might be digging out the hole, but there is a tiny bit of light.
There's somewhat of a light, it's the faintest. It's like a candle. It's not none of that downlighting, but it's a candle that's flickering ever so slightly.
But guys, anything else? We'll probably release this, and then another big free agent signing is going to happen, or Kawhi's going to get traded. But that's for another day. Anything else from you guys before we get out of here?
Nets Nation, baby. We're going to be getting 2 max free agents next year. We're going to ruin this thing altogether. We're taking down the Warriors. It's happening, mate. I'm just free falling.
Speak it into existence.
Why not?
Crazier things have happened.
Free financial advice from me: do not buy 2K19 or NBA Live 19. They will only be Warriors being played online. It's a waste of money and a waste of time. That is all.
I feel like Jack said, you'll get a little bit more joy out of beating them because you can talk a little bit more shit. Like, you just lost to me and you got 5 All-Stars, and me and Jack are playing with the Nets. Like,
It would be dope if Jordan and Kobe came out of retirement just to help LeBron. Like, fuck it, we'll try. We'll come back.
Vet minimums.
Imagine, it's just you see every good free agent's like, all right, we'll sign with the Lakers now on the cheap.
True.
I mean, I wonder how many teams right now are sitting there and like, oh, we hate the Warriors, we hate DeMarcus Cousins or specific players. I'm just really curious how Anthony Davis feels. I think that's the one I'm most interested in.
I wonder how many players are currently talking to each other saying, nah, we need to team up no matter what because this is bullshit. We can't let this team win. Like,
yeah.
I seriously wonder how many of these cheaper free agents like really might get on the phone, like you just mentioned, Nick, and just like hit up LeBron or something, or even the Celtics and say, listen, how can we make this work so I can come help you guys so this team doesn't win again?
It's like the Celtics like supercharge their bench. They bring back like Avery Bradley, some other pieces on there. Like I can see
somehow. Imagine Anthony Davis is so distraught and pissed he demands a trade to the Celtics just because he wants to compete for a title.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even not expect anything. Anything right now will not be a shock. This is something I didn't even anticipate in any type of way at all, and it happened. The LeBron thing, like you mentioned, Jack, earlier, there was a chance. We kind of knew it was a possibility. The deal isn't as crazy, but Cousins, an all-star center who's talked shit about the Warriors, joins them on a one-year deal, $5 million change, just is ridiculous. Like I said before, I really can't describe it. But that wraps it up for today. Check us out, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, OGBasketball.com, Google Play. We dropped about, 4 or 5 pods in the last 24 hours.